Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sattology, debunking mythology. Sat means truth, logos means a study or science. Sattology means the science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which means the science of fake lie imagination or study of fake lie imagination. Today I have a very, very special guest, and he is well known for his two books on a very popular leader in India. So we'll just know a little bit more about the leader in India, and also it's slightly going to be a little bit different topics than what we take usually. But I would very pleased to welcome him. So let us welcome Sri Shantanu Gupta from India.
Namaste, Namaste Aditya ji. Namaste to all the viewers of Sattology.
Namaste, namaste. So Shantanu, these two books you have written on a great person, and you will tell me about him more. Now, we all know him. I met him twice, and
Lovely.
so we all know that what he has done for the state, turn around the state. So, before we start off, what are those two books you have written, and then how you connect the older book with the new book you have written? You've done some very interesting shows on this, by the way.
Thank you. Namaste Aditya ji again. And we are talking about none other than Yogi Adityanath, the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, which is, were to be a country, would have been the fifth most populous country in the world. It has a population around 220 million, right? So this was my first book, The Monk Who Became Chief Minister, which is his biography, his life journey from Ajay Singh Bist, his pre-sannyas name, to his sannyas time, to his 19 years in Parliament, and then his couple of initial months in Chief Minister's office. And then for the last 5 years, what he has done, that prompted me to write my second book, which is The Monk Who Transformed Uttar Pradesh, right? And you can see the stark difference in the cover of two books. This is very saffron, orange, which talks about his monk life. And this is very development oriented. He churning data on his iPad, buildings, factories, power grids, all of that, right? So I think that's the connection between both the books, how he became the chief minister, his whole journey, and what he did in the last 5 years, right? This book, fortunately, is available in almost 11 Indian languages, apart from, and now maybe through your channel, I'll invite a lot of other international, global people, because sooner or later he will be global. So a lot of international people who can translate into maybe Mandarin, maybe Spanish, maybe French, and I'll be open to collaborate. And yeah, so these are the two books. And I came to United States of America, and it was a lovely meeting you that time in San Diego. And that was that. Yeah, if you ask me more specific questions about the book, I'll in fact, you have to stop me in between, because that's my topic from last 5 years. That's what I eat, breathe, and sleep with. So you have to stop me if I go a little more overboard.
So in the first book, when you mentioned the monk who became the chief minister, for people who do not know, chief minister is like a governor in the US.
That's a governor of a US state, exactly.
US state, and chief minister is an directly elected, unlike even the governor is directly elected, but it's a more direct election and parliamentary system that India has. Now, what is so special about Yogi Adityanath when you met him for the first book?
Yeah, so in fact, first book is still, though this book has become super famous, super popular, and it's created a huge transformation story around Yogi Adityanath. But again, why this book touched me, because this is the life of Yogi Adityanath, and I met almost everyone possible in his life, like from his pre-sannyas life, Aditya ji, like his mother, father, his sisters, brothers, his friends. He went to a couple of schools and different colleges. So his teachers, I went to the premise of every school, college he went to, talk to his teachers, students, colleagues, so all of them. And then whoever was part of his saint life, whoever is part of his political life, whoever is part of his life as a chief minister, all of that, right? So what I got to know about him is these four things, right, which I'm going to tell you now. which otherwise maybe a Wire or a NDTV or a New York Times or a Washington Post will never cover. And Aditya he must be the only chief minister who is covered widely in foreign media, right? Like the prime ministers, presidents, the premiers of the states are covered in foreign media, but not a chief minister of state. We don't talk about the governors of United States, right? We talk about your presidents, right? So this must be the only chief minister which Time Magazine and New York Times and Washington Post have a special love for. So I represent in my first book Yogi Adityanath with these four things. First, he is very young, right? He was 44 then, he is 49 now, right? And he is 49 now after spending 19 years in Parliament of India as a parliamentarian, as a member of Parliament, and 5 years in the office of Chief Minister. And I can bet, Aditya ji, and correct me if wrong, if you have any counter example, any politician in the world might not match his age and his experience. I have searched through politician in every country. Any country, tell me any politician who is in 5 years in the national parliament of the country, 19 years, sorry, 5 terms, consecutive terms, and 1 year the head of a big state like Uttar Pradesh, right? Like a governor or whatever it calls in different state. And even after all of that, he's only 49, right? After 24, 25 years of very, very high level politics, he's only 49, right? I doubt there is any politician. The president of your country is very old, which is fine. I think you need experience, you need time. But even after all of this, he was only 49. This was my first point, which people were never talking about. People saying, oh, he's a cow-loving chief minister, he's a saffron chief minister, this is this and that. But no one told he's a young chief minister, right? That's point number one. Point number two, that he has spent 19 years in parliament, that to a national parliament, in opposition government, when even when his party was in governance, right? And he won this 19 election, these elections, 5 elections, with exponential margins. And even when Aditya ji, his party BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party, was not doing very good electorally in 2004, 2009, he won with exponential margins, right? His performance in the parliament is extraordinary. If you compare his attendance, his number of questions he asked, number of debates he participated in, number of private member bills he presented, his number is more than the average of all the parliamentarians, right? If you compare with Rahul Gandhi, oh my God, the comparison is stark, right? So that's how he's doing in parliament. If you come to his ground, he's doing daily Janta Darbar, the people's court, with almost 200, 300 people of every caste, creed, and religion, almost every day from last 2 decades. That's why he's so connected to the people. And these are the people who are accessing him for normal problems. They're not asking him to give him a tender for a petrol pump or a road contract. They're asking him, let's say, if he have not got their scholarship on time, their pension on time, police is not listening to them, and they're accessing him when Mulayam Singh Yadav is chief minister, Mayawati is chief minister, or Akhilesh Yadav is the chief minister. They're not going to the chief minister of the state. They're coming to member of parliament Yogi Adityanath, and not only from Gorakhpur, lot of regions from the east of UP used to come to him, and now they access him as chief minister. When he became the parliamentarian the first time, Aditya ji, he was only 26. And who was his prime minister? Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Who used to access him? Lal Krishna Advani, Sushma Swaraj ji, Pramod Mahajan ji. His own guru, Mahanta Vednath, was a 3-time member of parliament. When he was given the sainthood, like when he took sannyas, you know who was there on the dais? Ashok Singhal ji. So now this is Yogi Adityanath, who has spent amazing time in parliament, who learned from the likes of Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Lal Krishna Advani, who is in parliament from last 19 years, who is the chief minister of state from 5 years. That is Yogi Adityanath. Not like a lot of people quoted of one speech here or one speech there. They try to typecast it, and that's what I try to demystify. Last point on the first book, a lot of people ask me, oh, okay, all of this is fine, but he's a priest and not a day, right? He knows how to do pujas and prayers. He doesn't know governance. When I went to Gorakhpur, I was amazed that the mutt, the Gorakhnath mutt, on which the name of the city Gorakhpur is there, that mutt run, Aditya ji, some 44 large-scale institutions, like big schools, big colleges, big hospitals, Ayurvedic hospital, English medicine hospital, nursing college, blood banks, whatnot, right? And these are like massive ones, like 400 bed hospital, a school with 4,000 children, college with 2,000 students, right? Massive institutions. Yogi Adityanath is running them like a CEO, like a chief executive officer from last 2 decades, from last 20 years. So all of this experience, parliament in 19 years, working with people in Janta Darbar from last 20 years, running 44 institutions, learning from the likes of Mahant Avednath to Lal Krishna Advani to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, all of this is Yogi Adityanath. And over all of this, he's trained in modern education. He did his Bachelor of Science and first year of Masters of Science, and he's trained in the traditional knowledge of Nath. So all of this is a package, and we are lucky enough, we are fortunate enough. He's the head of the state in Uttar Pradesh. So yeah, sorry, a long answer for a short question, but I could not have done justify the whole phenomena called Yogi Adityanath without that.
The it is a problem of the Western institutions, which are primarily driven by the church, to accept any other religious leader. You know, you have traveled all over the US. You hardly met any Native American religious leader,
Yeah, never. Yeah.
and those are the original people of this land. You may have never met them, and you may have also never met anybody in the power glorifying the Native American spirituality in the
Mm,
US.
mm,
And but it is the beauty of India, where the local cultures, local customs have been maintained by successive Indian governments. All of them have done a good job. So it is natural for American bodies or any other bodies is controlled by these people to criticize any other religious faith. Now, coming back to Yogi Adityanath ji, you said he is a Mahant, head of the institution, and he is also the head of the Nagpanth, which is the
yeah.
uh, which is the ideology behind it. Can you tell us something more of that Nagpanth, which made Yogi Adityanath a powerful leader?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question and a little deep question. So this book is divided into four parts, right? One part is his life as Ajay Singh Bist, pre-sannyas. One part is his life as a Mahant, why he became the Mahant, how he became the Mahant, what is the tradition of Nath Panth. It's called Nath Panth, Nath, Nath Panth. They derived their philosophy from Adinath Shiva. Adinath Shiva and Yogi Adityanath. So Yogi Adityanath is the carrier of the philosophy of Adinath Shiva. And then a great saint Gorakshnath curated the philosophy further. Gurus like Matsendranath, Mahant Digvijayanath, Mahant Avednath, he have curated and preserved the whole Nath Panth. Nath Panth is a very ascetic tradition. It's a yogic tradition. And Yogi Adityanath comes from that tradition. Yogi Adityanath comes from that tradition. And his morning part, the early morning part, he spends in his tradition, in his yoga, in his physical exercise, in his bodily exercises, in his spiritual activities, right? And very interestingly, Nath Panth is very inclusive. So they on Makar Sankranti they do a khichdi bhoj, a porridge kind of bhoj, like a invitation for everyone. And there you'll find people for all religion, all caste and creed. They just sit together and eat, and that's a massive exercise in Nath Panth. There is one more very interesting feature of Nath Panth, Aditya. You might have seen Yogi Adityanath sports a earring, right? That earring is not in the bottom lobe, right? It's in the this middle lobe, right? And it is a little tough exercise, right? They take a piercing thing and pierce it and use a lot of dripping oil, mustard oil, to make sure it heals it. And the kind of ring that you wear, it based on your practice as a mahant. So you start with maybe a mud one, then you graduate to a wood one, that to a ivory one, and that to maybe a silver one, and then someone like Yogi Adityanath, which is a alloy of lot of ashtadhatu, they call it, which is a mixture of multiple metals, right? So in my first book, Dr. David Frawley has written the foreword. Padma Bhushan awardee who lives in US. His other Hindu name is Vamadev Shastri. And he wrote a very interesting line, Aditya ji, and you will love to hear it. He said that among all the available politicians in India, Yogi Adityanath is naturally trained in Indian tradition, Indian philosophy, Indian Sanatani philosophy. And that's a big statement. That's a big statement. And we are lucky that someone who is trained in Indic philosophy, Sanatani philosophy, also part of the governance and heading a state. So that's why I keep saying, and I tweeted in the morning also, that iPad in one hand and the puja ki thali in another. Yogi Adityanath has shown that how development and cultural renaissance can coexist.
That also explains the clarity of thought he has on
Yeah,
many
yeah,
aspects. Very clear, very straightforward, and which nowadays politicians are not used to generally. And I'm talking about American politicians. We are seeing all kinds of internal issues in the US also. Now, coming to Uttar Pradesh, now this is his background, and spiritually, he's a he's a practitioner. He's not a
yeah.
just a speaker or show. And
Yeah.
the dress that he wears is the dress of a monk, which is as per the Vedic tradition. Now, now coming to the other side of it now, we already know, I already said that it's a clarity of thought brings him with this kind of tradition. Now, he has, with such a long period in Indian Parliament, and also being a successor to his own guru. So, what are the things that he did in the Indian Parliament which made him a very popular leader within the parliamentarian, amongst the parliamentarians also, Indian parliamentarians?
I'm so happy, Aditya ji, I'm talking to you because see, I'm a TV panelist, right? And I've done more than 4,000 TV shows. A TV show is a typically of 30 minutes, right? And if you take the advertisement part, commercial part, it remains 22 minutes, right? And you have five, six panelists. Out of that, one panelist get 1.5, 2 minutes, right? In 1.5, 2 minutes, you can't even frame your argument, right? So it becomes more or less like a cacophony, right? And you're asking some profound, deep questions. And this is the time you can explain a person, right? I can explain in 1 minute and 2 minutes. And that's why you were telling me before the broadcast that I forgot, you said some X number of people watches almost 40 minutes of the viewing time of your videos are very high, which is a very interesting, I think, mark on your how you present your shows and the kind of questions you ask. So thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So why in Parliament he is known for two things. First is what is he doing in his constituency, and what is he doing in the Parliament, right? Parliament, you can judge any politician by four things: his attendance, number of questions asked, number of debates participated in, number of private memorabilis presented. I compared him in all the four things Rahul Gandhi in my book in the 16th Lok Sabha, where he was the part of. His attendance was plus 80%. Rahul Gandhi's attendance was less than 50%. Right? 80%, less than 50%. He asked 302 questions in that parliament, 16th Lok Sabha. 302 questions. Rahul Gandhi asked, how many? Zero questions. Right? 302, zero questions. He participated in some 57 odd debates. Rahul Gandhi participated in some 7 or 8 debates. He presented 3 private member bills, very rare though, but he presented 3 private member bills. Rahul Gandhi presented 0 private member bills. Rahul Gandhi might be a convenient comparison, but if you compare with national average, his numbers are pretty high. So that's one, that he's a very, very engaged politician, Aditya. Someone may ask, okay, he might be asking Ram Mandir, 370, Uniform Civil Code, a lot of cultural ethnic issues, right? He's asking certainly them, right? And they are very important questions, but he's also asking a typical development questions. He's asking that the biggest of the hospital like AIMS should be open in Gorakhpur. What is the status of the fertilizer factory? He's asking about Indo-American relation. He's asking about the engineering colleges, medical colleges, status of roads, status of fertilizer, state of agriculture, state of irrigation. He's asking everything in the gamut. Only thing, because before my book, no one did the research that what all he's asking. In Parliament website, you can go and research like decades and decades of old data, but no one did, and a lot of the journalists just picked 1 or 2 things here and there and try to frame it in a certain situation. That's one. When I went asked a lot of his parliamentary colleagues, he said after every parliament session you can find Yogi Adityanath, where? In Parliament's library. He sat hours and hours there and trained himself a lot of philosophies. What is the left philosophy? What is the free market philosophy? What is the dharmic philosophy? What are the different prime ministers, chief ministers' history, how they came up? Be from his party, be from other party. You can learn from everywhere. So he's a student of politics also all along from last 20 years. You can talk to him on any topic. In fact, when you talk to him, he sounds like a scholar, as if I'm talking to a professor. You talk to him about left-leaning ideas, you talk about right-leaning ideas, about Nath Panth, about other philosophies, about westward. He has a very good sense of how Western powers, Western politics is played, right? So that is Yogi Adityanath, and that's why he's being loved so much. Coming on the ground, how's his routine like? So morning, he gets up at 3:45. What's the joke? So when he became the chief minister, the joke was who gets up early, Narendra Modi or Yogi Adityanath? And the answer was Yogi Adityanath. And Yogi Adityanath gets up 15 minutes early than Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi gets up at 4 a.m. and Yogi Adityanath gets up at 3:45 a.m. Meaning both of them are very, very disciplined people. So he gets up in the morning, does his morning things, goes down at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., take a big round of his mutt earlier. Now the CM offers a little different lifestyle, but again, a very early morning lifestyle. Settle, comes back, goes back up, signs all the papers required, takes bath, comes back and take a 2-3 hour Janta Darbar. And then go to field, at least he covered 10 to 15 villages every day. And this kind of very disciplined life he's living from last 22 years. That's why he's so people connected. And now this Janta Darbar is shifted to Chief Minister's house. And his team in Gorakhnath Mutt is still handling a lot of people and solving their problem, right? So that's why his engaged, meticulous engagement, his body of knowledge, he being a student of politics, that's what makes him a very, very engaging politician. And he never shied away saying whatever he wanted to say, even in parliament, even in assembly, and even in any of the rallies.
Very interesting, and you have put a very good light on his personality. Now, the one of the things which comes in the mind with a spiritual person. Now, spirituality is the largest growing religious segment in North America, in especially USA. More and more people are identifying themselves as spiritual than religious, and that is a major change in the demography in North America today. 55% of all Americans polled by different Pew Research. Generally, the Pew Research categorizes them wrong. I mean, the entire Pew Research is just meant to show that how Abrahamic faiths are growing. But generally, 48% of Americans do not believe in any organized religion. And so it's the largest segment. So this spiritual aspect of Yogi Adityanath is something which people can look up to and identify themselves with, like with yoga, meditation, and other kinds of things. Now, my next question to you will be on his life, especially as a monk. I read one of the incidents, I think you spoke and some other people wrote it also, that he dedicated his life to this tradition, at the same time dedicated his life to the country. So how could both of them simultaneously exist for some people?
So very interestingly, this is he kind of inherited from the mutt. This is one must be the only mutt which also does huge social service, and they also taking a political seat. For the mutt and Yogi Adityanath, a political seat is a lever to do a larger social good. In fact, I'll tell you an incident, and that incident is low. You may find that I'm taking a tangent, but I'll come to the point. When he was 22, and before that, he met his guru, Mahant Adityanath, multiple times at various places in Delhi, Uttarakhand, and Gorakhpur. And both of them liked each other. He as a guru, he as a disciple, and he wanted to join Nath Panth. He did not get the courage to tell his parents. So without telling his parents, he went to Gorakhpur and became the Nath Panthi Kanfata Sadhu, as they call it, right? And likes of Ashok Singhal ji, Mahant Adityanath ji, and all of the great seers were part of his sannyas ceremony. His parents got to know about it in the newspaper, and my son became a saint. They took the next train, went to Gorakhpur, and unfortunately, Mahant Adityanath was not in town, and they saw Yogi Adityanath in the saffron attire with no shave, with the head shave off. And after settling them with water and little food, he made his parents talk to Mahant Adityanath on phone. And what Mahant Adityanath said will communicate your answer, Aditya ji. Mahant Adityanath said that you have 6 children. You, the couple, Savita ji and Anand Singh Bisji, that you have 6 children. Can you please dedicate at least 1 children to the service of the nation and to the service of the dharma? Right? And after this, Anand Singh Bisji was speechless, and that's why that communicated that the mutt is for the nation service, because he's a parliamentarian, he's setting a political seat also where you can serve people, and it's one of the biggest seat of dharma also. So I think this is one of the rare combination, and we are fortunate enough that he is a head of state in Uttar Pradesh.
Generally, when you look at the academic curriculums in the American universities and Indian universities, normally follow them for validation and for just being acceptable in the West. Now, in the American curriculums, the humanities and the political science, especially, has gone very defensive and extreme left in a way that the human rights have become the number one topic of study of American students, especially those who go to humanities. But here we see a naturally a natural education system of India producing a leader who is uh, very pro justice, as at the same time he's pro equality, and also at the same time he's development focused, which I'll come to next part of the session. Now, so how is this now the Indic Vedic education, which has produced such a good leader, which is acceptable by almost 200 million people, which is three-fourths of the United States, and and an American graduate, which probably have still difficulty in understanding the politics of the world globally, because American education is just very myopic just to the states. So how do you see now comparison between Vedic education and the Western education here with this example?
Yeah. Uh, and in Yogi Adityanath's case, I'll just further your argument. In Yogi Adityanath's case, it's a beautiful merger of both. He went to a normal college, like I have produced the pictures in my book where he is wearing a jeans, a shirt, he's sporting a goggles, he's sporting a bandana, he's in a part of a group which has girls and boys. His friends are playing guitar, he used to play badminton, all of that, right? And he did his BSc in science maths, like if I can say logic. And in fact, he did first year of his MSc, Master of Science, right? And then he trained himself in such an old tradition of Nath Panth, which is coming from Adinath Shiva, right? And in his daily governance, I can see that, right? So let's say I'll give you 2 3 examples. You know Kumbh, right? Aditya, you know Kumbh, right? Prayagraj had a Kumbh in 2019, right? Though that's a different thing. Than Akhilesh Yadav time, there was a Kumbh, and he made Azam Khan, just maybe to tease people from Hindu faith, just to tease, he made Azam Khan the coordinator for Kumbh. But when the Kumbh came in Yogi Adityanath time, it was a very spiritual Kumbh, it was a very religious Kumbh, it was a very cultural Kumbh, and it was a very technology-led Kumbh. The mixture of all of that. If you sit in any of the meeting of Yogi Adityanath, which I got the opportunity to sit some of them, you will hear a lot of things about culture. You will sing a lot of things about modern governance. You will hear a lot of things about technology. Words like QR code, dashboard, data, comparison, graphs, chart, barcodes, dashboards is very common in his vocabulary. And words like Shraddha, cultural tradition, Bhagwan, Shraddha, Gorakhnath, Kashi Vishnath, Mathura, mention of Ram. That's also very common in his vocabulary. So that's a beautiful combination that we see in the governance. That's why I'll give you one example that will explain it all. So Ayodhya before 2017, right? You know what was it known for? It was known for it is a disputed town, right? If there is a high court verdict, oh my God, you have to put a lot of police, right? If there is a Supreme Court verdict, you have to put a lot of police, right? Yeah. But after 2017, it has made 3 Guinness Book of World Record for lighting highest number of earthen lamps, the diyas, right? Now the first lady of Korea and a lot of international guests come for Deepotsav, which happens every Diwali, just a day before Diwali. We call it Choti Diwali, right? There are laser shows, there are Ramayana ballets from Indonesia, Thailand, from various parts of the country. Now the economy of Ayodhya is flourishing even before the temple is the Ram temple is there. Once the Ram temple is there, you can't even imagine, Aditya, what will be the economy of the whole place and the whole region. In fact, I'll tell you one of my tweet, and that will communicate. So on the day when the Ram Mandir verdict came, some very left-leaning journalist wrote, "Okay, are you guys done with all this Ram Mandir issue? Can we talk real economy now?" And you know what was my reply? And the tweet became viral. I said, in fact, we should talk economy. Tirupati Balaji, a temple in Andhra Pradesh, is a 3,000 crore rupees economy, right? Ganesh Visarjan only in Mumbai is a 500 crore rupee economy. Kanwar Yatra, which happens for only 2-3 weeks in Western UP, That's itself is a 200 crore rupees economy. In India, Aditya ji, there are 200 towns. There are almost 200 towns which run on religious, cultural economy. In fact, out of that false case, Ayodhya verdict case, Ayodhya was taken away from this economy from last 70 years. In fact, now the religious economy will develop there. A lot of people will go as a Shraddhalu, as devotees. A lot of people will go there as tourists and spend a lot of money there, right? So there is a beautiful combination in culture and economy and in development and culture. And Yogi Adityanath represent both the words, and that's the beauty about him.
Yeah, you mentioned very accurately the influence of temples on the local economies, because this is
Yeah,
what the Indian culture was all about. Now,
yeah.
when we talk about the Yogi Adityanath redeveloping Ayodhya, you took the name of Azam Khan, you took the name of Rahul Gandhi, and
Mhm.
also you took the name of one more person. I just skipped my mind. Three names you took, but anyway, these people are the same people who
Mhm.
pass a derogatory image through their comments in the Western media, which the Western media usually picks up all the negative news of from India against any
Mhm.
of the Indian leaders.
Mhm.
Uh, so when we talk about this, the image building, now the counter to that is a development which has happened to all 200 million people together.
Yeah, yeah,
So, what are the developmental statistics by the same person for all the people without any discrimination?
yeah. In fact, you asked a very pertinent question, and that's the subtitle of my second book, right? So my book is The Monk Who Transformed Uttar Pradesh. And you know what is the subtitle? The subtitle is, yeah, the subtitle is How Yogi Adityanath Changed the UP Wala Bhaiya Image or Abuse to a Badge of Honor. You know what does that mean? UP Wala Bhaiya means like some insignificant person who has come from UP. That was a term used for UP Walas, the people from UP in Mumbai, in Bangalore, if they go outside UP for work, because that was the image of UP. UP was known for land mafia, sand mafia, exam cheating mafia, car stealing mafia, kidnapping mafia. Every kind of organized crime was at peak in Uttar Pradesh. No development. Uttar Pradesh contributes a lot of population, 17-18% to Indian population, but not even half the percent in the GDP. Right? That was the image. There was no indices of Uttar Pradesh where, let alone top five, Uttar Pradesh was not even in top 10 or top 15. There was only one statistic where Uttar Pradesh was number one, and that was crime, crime, and crime before 2017. Come 2017, what happened in the last 5 years is amazing. Today, Uttar Pradesh from 7th, 8th rank is second in GSDP, right? The GDP accumulated to a state. Today, in 5 years, from 15th position, Uttar Pradesh is second in ease of doing business, a parameter that World Bank calculates, right? The unemployment rate from 17.5% come to 4.5%. The per capita income has doubled from 40,000 rupees to almost 90,000 rupees. There are 45 government schemes, central government schemes, Aditya Bhai, 45, where Uttar Pradesh is number one. A lot of people say, oh, people may vote for Hindu, for Muslim, for Jat, for Tyagi, for Yadav. I say Narendra Modi and Yogi Adityanath has developed a new caste. You know what is that caste, Aditya? That caste is beneficiary caste. This is a new cadre, this is a new class. And I'll give you just 2, 3 examples, right? In Uttar Pradesh, women, men, families did not have access to toilets. Can you imagine? In 21st century, people did not have access to toilets. Toilets is not some rocket science. UP government made 2.6 crore toilets. 2.6 crore toilets, right? So now all these families, all these women can access a toilet, who otherwise will wait for evening for sun to shed, sun to go set, and then they will only go and defecate and open. Can you imagine the relief in their life? They distributed almost 1.5 crore. I'm sure you can convert to millions and billions. I'm not very good in that. 1.5 crore gas stoves. Earlier, these women used to use cow dung cakes or wood. If a woman does cooking on wood or cow dung for 3 times a day, you know what is that equal to? That equals to almost smoking 300 to 400 cigarettes. Now they have a gas stove. In whole of Bundelkhand region, now they are getting access to water in their taps. Now almost 40 lakh people, 4 billion people who did not have house, now they have a roof on their head. Right? I can go on, and that's my book with filled with data and comparison, right? That how this new beneficiary caste has evolved, who have a very different life now in last 5 years. So people are voting beyond caste boundaries, beyond religion boundaries, and voting for Yogi Adityanath in the current election. 4 phases are over, and in fact, there is a phase today. Elections are happening now. Now it's over by 6 o'clock. Fourth phase. 3 more phases left, and is doing what the stories, what the insights I'm getting from the ground. It's going completely in favor of Yogi Adityanath because of what he has done with the guidance of Narendra Modi in the last 5 years.
In the American campuses, especially, the biggest attack on Hindus is on the caste system. But most, again, I'll repeat, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. The caste is a European word, has no connection with India. Indian word is Varna. So, so when we talk about the Varna or the equality, irrespective of the class or the caste section, now you just said that how it benefited the 26 million toilets were made and 15 million direct beneficiaries of the gas connection. Now, coming to the last point in terms of ranking of Uttar Pradesh today at number 2, and number 1 is Maharashtra, number 2 is India, or is Uttar Pradesh, and Punjab is at number 15, just below Bihar. It was used to be number top 2, but now it is at 15, number 2. So what other than these, what changes did he bring, especially to the rule of goons? It was very common there.
Yeah.
He changed that into a rule of law. So what changes he did, which people do not like, people, because most of these people, like I told you, are against anything non-Abrahamic, So what changes he brought, which brought peace to everybody, and that's how the development is happening.
Yeah. So I think you are bang on, Aditya bhai. For any industry to function, for any society to function, the basic step is rule of law. So that if me and Aditya bhai goes to a contract, we'll honor each other's contract. If I run a business, people will not loot me. If I have 30, 50 employees, people will not harm their lives. Right? That's a basic thing. And that's why industry was not flourishing in Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh, the only industry was flourishing, as I told you, multiple mafias. Sand mafia, land mafia, car stealing mafia. It was a big business, stealing cars and then sending them back to workshops. Right? Cheating mafia. The exams, you can pass exam by cheating. Kidnapping mafia, you kidnap a son or daughter or wife or sister or a big person and then ask them money. This was the only industry. When Yogi Adityanath came, he did 2-3 big things. He identified all the 5, 6, 10 organized criminal groups in each district of Uttar Pradesh. There are 75 districts. And every district of Uttar Pradesh had an organized gang. Organized means which is staffing, which is specialized for kidnapping or car stealing or exam cheating. He identified all of them, and within first 1 year, he neutralized almost all of them. Right? Some through court cases, some through police action, some through encounters. He neutralized all these organized gang in the first 1 year. And that's why business started coming back. In the very first year, Uttar Pradesh got the investment promise of almost 5 lakh crore, which is equal to the yearly budget of Uttar Pradesh. Right? And almost 60-70% of them got the light of the day within the coming years. And this is happening in last 5 years when we spent almost or wasted almost 1.5-2 years in Corona. Right? That's the thing number 1. Thing number 2, he made sure that in all the thanas of UP, all the 2000 thanas of UP, there is a glass chamber with a woman police fellow. Right? Glass chamber so that everybody can see from outside what's happening inside, and a woman police fellow. So all the women folks feel safe and feel assured to go and complain there if something untowards happen. And because of that, there's a huge relief in women folks in UP, right? He has put squads in front of famous markets, in front of colleges, schools, just for stop eve teasing, so that a normal life which was marred for women, they can't come out of the out in open, that got drastically solved. One last thing which he did drastically well, he did multiple things, but I'm telling the important ones. he increased the police force. UP was working only with 1.5 lakh police force. Now UP's police force, you know how much? 3 lakhs. From 1.5 lakhs to doubled, and this was the given vacancy. Only thing, in Akhilesh Yadav time or Mayawati's time or Mulayam's time, they were cancelling each other's bhartis. Right? Someone was going to court because the bhartis were compromised. They were done by not by exam or by selection process, just by recommendation. Because I like you, that's why I'll admit you. Because you are of my caste, my region, my place, I'll admit you. You are from a particular religion, your religion will vote for me, your community will vote for me, then I'll admit you. Right? Yogi Adityanath scrapped all of that and say only three things will work in my system: merit, merit, and merit. And now those 1.5 extra police force are recruited 4 years back. They're trained for 6 months, and from last 3 years on the field with uniform, right? And that have done a massive change in law and order, and that has a huge repercussion on normal life and also on business coming to Uttar Pradesh.
Bollywood has known to peddle the bhaiya, bhaiya kind of nomenclature, and Bollywood has added, and now we also hear the film city in Noida, I think, where you stay, which is also an answer to kind of Bollywood, which is a highly politicized film industry. Unlike Hollywood, Hollywood has no political affiliations. A few directors always there, but mostly it is purely entertainment based. And Bollywood is not like that. Bollywood has a cultural element of attack to it. Yeah, go ahead.
In fact, when I was in LA, in California, right, my friends, my host there took me to the Hollywood sign, the famous Hollywood sign, right, and I took a picture sporting my book, and I quoted in my tweet that the day will not be far when we will have an iconic film city in Uttar Pradesh, right? See, Bollywood is all about Hindi, and the Yogi Adityanath's argument is when the consumption is happening in Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar, in the north, why the production should happen so far away? We don't mind it's happening in Mumbai, but Uttar Pradesh should also have a major share. And also, there is a huge Bhojpuri industry, Aditya bhai, if you know, and it's a massive industry. Bhojpuri is one of the dialect of Hindi in eastern UP, Bihar, and a lot of other parts. That industry can also flourish, and with a huge land allocated, huge budget allocated, a huge massive film city is coming. It's not only the film city. There is a Jewar airport coming nearby, and which will be Asia's biggest airport and world's fourth largest airport. All of this is happening. If I talk about expressway, you'll be amazed. If I talk about the airports, you'll be amazed, right? I'll just tell you one statistic. Uttar Pradesh has only 25 flights coming in out before 2017. And now the number is, you know how much? Not doubled, tripled. It's 75 flights going in and out. That's why, when I started writing my book, the title I thought is The Monk Who Changed Uttar Pradesh. By the time I collected all the data, all the stories, went to almost 35 districts, I realized, no, that's not change. That's transformation. So I changed the title to The Monk Who Transformed Uttar Pradesh from The Monk Who Changed Uttar Pradesh.
Thank you so much, Shantanu, for joining from India, and also for all the viewers who just have listened attentively to the entire show. Do let us know your feedback and let us know, comment over there and ask us questions, and I'll forward those questions to Shantanu. Thank you and namaste.
One last thing, Aditya, if I can say, right? I think the one support that all of you can do, sitting wherever you are, is buy the book, right? There's the support. So, unfortunately, this book is available in India. It's a bestseller in India. It's also available on Amazon.com. Both my books are also available on Amazon.com. So, sitting in America or wherever, you can also buy this book. And as you said, through the channel, through wherever I'm available on Twitter, Facebook, through Aditya, just do send me your feedback for my future writing work. Namaste and thank you again.
And one more thing then I'll add now, because you have to give me the link of the book, and when they search on Amazon, what is the name they should search with?
I think the same name, The Monk Who Became Chief Minister or The Monk Who Transformed Uttar Pradesh. Or if you write Shantanu Gupta, all of my books will come who are listed on Amazon.com. These two books are certainly listed.
I think that is a better search, Shantanu Gupta, SHANTANUGUPTA. And that's also showing up on the screen also. So you can search over there and get to know both these books actually. Especially American academics who are running a propaganda. And I want you to read it because so that you guys stop spreading the propaganda. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.